All right, guys, welcome back. Another wonderful stream we have brought up, a spicy one. I'm joined today with everyone's favorite grandpa, Avidus. Please give us a warm welcome.
Glory to Callahan Brothers.
And joined today, we also have Necron Razor.
Hello guys. I would prefer Borg in this case, but Necron must do the simulation and stuff.
And our favorite squirrel, Kaczynski. Say hello.
Good afternoon, good evening, fellas.
All right, we totally do not have any setbacks, so we're gonna. I think let's just skip and go on to the next slide because I mean that was a hell of a fucking intro.
Indeed.
Current war update. So it's been there's a lot of controversies going on here, and kind of an old problem kind of re-brought itself back, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that later. But what's your guys' take on the current war update right now?
I mean, it's just kind of the general continuation of some of the problems that could remain roughly unaddressed. I do find it hilarious that, because we're still pushing right now into mid-war, but the early war, what I've seen so far is, lo and behold, tier 2 defenses are still oppressively, stupid. And we've got this whole full-blown HE meta where infantry is literally about blobbing up into groups of 20 and 30 people and throwing yourself against defenses with HE grenades. That's the only meaningful progress that can be made in the early game, and that is retarded. And so the developers are looking at the situation. The best solution they think to come up with is reduce the HE grenade crate size from 30 to 25. Like, that's the fix for the problem. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on, but that's the one that's kind of grinding me pretty hard right now. I hate what they're doing right now with the building system, with the damage system on buildings, and the lack of answers available. It's pretty awful.
Yeah, what's your take?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've been playing a lot of Foxhole recently. Not due to how the state of it, although that hasn't helped. I just sort of I've burned out a little bit with the game. I've been attending Saturday Ops to it, so I do have a little bit of experience with what's going on at the moment. Yeah, I think overall it's good. It's one of those things where we've seen this new system for a couple of wars now, and it's definitely showing some holes. So we'll have to see what that goes like with whatever they release next, because I'm not sure what they're releasing next, but they're talking about it being big, so we'll have to see.
That's this whole big talk of big plans, and it's
big plans.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just I hate being, in the back seat of this clapfoot car, and they're driving it, and just what I mean, like.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to. I think more prudent is the game that they brought out. Well, the like pre-alpha release of this game called Anvil that we played. We played it for a few hours. And I mean, I'm not going to talk about it, but something I found quite entertaining that I got told today is that Anvil, a pre-alpha game, like basically just a prototype game, has a better clan system than Foxhole.
Or has any.
Yeah. Well, Foxhole doesn't have any, so anything is better, isn't it? I suppose.
Exactly.
But that's got it, and Foxhole doesn't. Yeah.
No, it could be.
And
I don't mean to cut you off, but it could be a good, spark of hope for Foxhole. You know what I mean? Because they even said, like, with lessons or whatever techniques they put in Anvil, they can hopefully, translate it to Foxhole.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're able to get, like it's funny looking at it, but I'm also like, okay, then that means they can possibly set up something for Foxhole clan wide related as well, and that could be, hopefully it doesn't take them like 3 years, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've been saying since day one, that Foxholes needed a UI / clan update for a very long time. I mean, with 3 years in now, and we still don't have anything resembling that. In fact, I think we've been de-evolved, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember a press call the other day. I think I was listening. What was it? Was it KFC that was on there? I think, and Joffrey basically said about the officers in
What officer?
squads. Yeah, what officers? Yeah, he didn't know what the hell he was talking about, which was a bit worrying. You know what I mean? It's like, oh god, you know, they don't even remember when things were better.
Yeah, that's the
That-
unfortunate reality.
Fake news, guys. Clanman bad. They're just like spreading rumors.
Razor, you have anything to contribute to the current update?
Well, I don't know. The mass AG rushes are fun the first 5 times, after which you sort of start hating them, because not because of the rush itself, but because of, you know, like, I'll probably even like get us some footage on the vibe, even if it's probably gonna be without sound. But the general idea is, so you get like 20 people together, right? Everybody grabs smokes, gas, AGs and shit, right? And you do this huge cloud of smoke. Some people send some gas flying towards the back of the relic base, and then all 20 people start lobbing AG grenades. And I would say on an average, I think you get like what, 20, maybe even 40 AGs on the relic base, but nothing's happening, because like there's like literally a team of enemies on the other side of it, just like poke poke with the hammer, just like.
Yeah,
And then
It's just ridiculous, because like
Yes.
you're like, guys, we just threw like 40 AGs at it, but you know nothing happened.
yeah. There's no punches there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it ties into all the more the stuff about the short range artillery that they're bringing out, thinking that's going to fill the gap when it just isn't.
And I don't mind that against like the relic base, because that's like the target, the core target, relic base, maybe the tier 3 town hall. That's the goal, right? And it should be like. And I don't like the repair meta or whatever, but against one target, that's one thing. But you're doing that against every single 1x3 rifle garrison on the map, because they basically have just sub tier relic base HP levels that you have to break through, and you celebrate every time you kill a 1x3. All right, guys, we got it. Just 12 more to go, and we can maybe make a play on this relic base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where it gets really ridiculous. And it's just, I think an easy fix from my perspective. This is oversimplified. You got to bounce more stuff around it. But tier 2 rifle garrisons should not be available this early in the war. It should be more progressive than it is. You should not have tier 2 rifle garrisons showing up on day one, and then these tier 2 rifle garrisons persist all the way until concrete shows up, and then things really get cancerous.
I never understood why the tier 2 is just like a free update, basically, with nothing. Like, you just need some BMATs and that's it. You don't need technology for it. You don't need anything for it. That really doesn't make sense, and it's not even like really doesn't really fit with the rest of the mechanics of the game, if you ask me.
It should fit somewhere in between. Like, I hate to bring this up because I'm not a fan, but back when gun nests were unlocked, gun nests were unlocked at a certain point. The minute they were unlocked, they popped up everywhere, but they were unlocked in the same period that you had other tools to deal with them. At about the same time mortars started to show up on the field is when gun nests showed up on the field, right? And so you were not completely bereft of answers. And that's one of the issues here is you've got one tool, and it's not a great tool, and it literally it's the only way to do it. Like, even your field machine guns can't do anything against these things, right? Like, field machine guns can deal with tier 1, but they can't deal with tier 2, unless somebody correct me on that. But that's ridiculous. Half tracks can't do anything.
Yeah, and even to an extent, because even trying to bring like the siege mortar into it, it's like, me personally, I've only seen it really effective against PVE or even like low response force, and that's like the only like plus you can actually utilize this actual equipment. Fighting an active front, you'll be lucky, even with the new mechanics, to even like get the structure down and actually make a meaningful push with this. And I know we've tried our best with it. There's other people in clans that are trying to do their best with the equipment as well, but in general, it suffers with the same problem the FMG has. Is Foxhole does not do well with frontline field equipment with its current range. You're just easily able to just be stopped because of how grenades exist. And I'm still feeling like there's a bug with the shielding. Like,
Yeah.
you can just get fragged and shot from the front of the equipment, and I'm like, what's going on here? This is oddly frustrating.
And Fancy's right. That's exactly my point as well. Is like the pervasiveness and density of structures means that you have to put so much in just to whittle away one piece of it, and then it's just like, okay, guys, we just put 15 minutes into that tier, that 1x3. Here we go again. Like it's rough.
It's 4 a.m. again.
Yes, dear. But it's like, are we able to get a footage of it? Because
Yeah, you want to see it?
I got to be.
Oh,
We all
okay,
got to be in a rush, and at first I wasn't really that like Razor said. The first like couple of waves, it's like adrenaline running, and it's kind of fun. But if it doesn't yield any results anytime soon, that whole thing just becomes not not pleasant to do. And especially like you only get like randoms and everyone to listen to you for like the first couple of waves, and then once things start not working, then you lose that whole momentum. Randoms give up on the whole idea of rushing, and it's just it's overall it's not really worth thing to do. And I love how like what Kaz talking about with the patch notes, they want to combat this spam, but they just reduce the crate by like five HEs, and it's like okay, I mean that doesn't really.
You
I
just
don't
made
know.
it more grindy for us to do what we still have to do. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thanks for the
Now you
help.
made it worse. And then it's also like what like they reduced the size by half, right? 50% by
Yeah.
half. And it's just like I find it funny. Is like, do we not know what the actual meaning of HE stands for? It stands for high explosive, not condensed explosive. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Well, I did a patrol Thursday night with some of the guys. So I took about 10, and they grew up to about 15 DK infantry out late Thursday, and we were playing. And we showed up on a front in Drown Vale, and we looked at the front and saw what was going on. They had at that point in the early war 4 half tracks, and our only answers are stickies, and they were just fighting in a narrow choke. And so I just took the guys around, and we did a couple of like sticky rush flanks, and we killed 4 of them, right? And then they just brought more up, so what a big deal. Like, so I mean, we spooked them, or whatever. But our contribution that whole time, like I had an infantry squad, 15 guys. The amount of time that we spent actually fighting enemy infantry, like kitted to deal with enemy infantry, was maybe about 10% of our playtime. The rest of it was kitted to either sticky rush or HE rush at defenses. And that's just, I mean, again, as Razor said, the first few times you do it, it can be fun for the guys. But it's not fun for me anytime I do it, by the way. First of all, I hate the tactic. It's not fun. It's not engaging for me. It's not why I enjoy playing infantry at all. And it's going to get boring real quick. And so it's a horrible gameplay loop that is really tiresome.
So I think I got us a little clip if you guys wanna. It doesn't have sound, is the downside, but we can just comment off of it.
I could add some sound. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure you can help us with that. Let me check. Okay, let's make it full screen for the boys.
Is this the first one, Razor?
It's one. It's one of them.
This is one of the many charges we did.
Yeah, I just picked the one that looked best to me at least, because like look at the amount of people, and you're also gonna see the amount of distraction going around it. So, and
just imagine everyone screaming, like running, pushing forward.
Yeah.
Peak Foxhole experience right here.
Someone was playing some good Arabic music, which we all probably know what it is.
I don't think I've actually seen this one.
This one's from yesterday. This is what's going on in Iron's End.
I'd love to experience one of these charges from the colonial point of view and just see what happens, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it must be fucking terrifying.
And the thing is, like, what do you guys reckon? 20, 40 AGs hitting there, probably even more.
Yeah.
And I don't think the damage state even like changed on that thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, I think when you're getting through with that many people and that many HE grenades, it should at least be changed to a damage state, you know.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is like the fact that because all you have to do, you see, like we're attacking it from one angle, and that means the other side is relatively free. So that means all the colonials have to do is get to the safe side and just hammer away with BMATs, and it's just like it's like because seeing what they, because reading the patch notes, right? They want to make tank armor repairing rate slower, so they increased it like every time
Spicy
you know
meatball.
hit or repair the tank.
Oh,
It's what, like 15% more
that is a spicy
to hit, right?
meatball.
I don't know what translation that means. I'm pretty sure it's just every 2 hits equals 1%. But that's not. I feel like that's not the change we need to have. Like that's not the right variable we need to be implementing, because it doesn't matter if you change it like, oh, you takes 2 hits versus 1. It will help a little bit, but it's not solving the problem. Like the problem is to be able to repair anything when it's in combat, and that's been like the biggest
Yeah.
problem we can ever get.
I wonder if there'd be something, where buildings, structures become more vulnerable based on some kind of variable. And I hate this by design. I think Dark and I talked about this maybe online or offline at one point, but something like once you lose a certain territory around, I don't know, like, because you want to discourage PvE, but you want to encourage frontline conflict that's not like grindy and ridiculous. How do you do that? And maybe there's some sense that structures are going to be more vulnerable to the extent that the repair rate is severely reduced. The HP is lower. I don't like that solution, but it's an option to consider on the table. What does that look like? But something has to change, because this is a really, really silly way to play the game.
Yeah, it's just I'm just more a fan of, if something gets damaged, every like, let's just say roughly 15 seconds before its last damage, then you could repair it again.
I mean, I think we talked about this last time as well, and I think the the best way to do it is literally just have a timer. That is just the only way they're going to have to do it. I think they will eventually figure that out. Hopefully they will anyway. I think maybe a 10-second timer, maybe even less than that, 5-second timer on a building. If it's under constant artillery barrage, or if it's under constant attack by people just throwing 1 or 2 HEs, maybe these big HE charges may become less necessary. Maybe it'll become a more of a system of, right, one person goes up, throws his HEs to knock the timer back, and you just keep that stream going. You know what I mean?
You grind them out.
Yeah, exactly. So you can chip away at it little bit by little bit. And if they don't plug that hole, if they don't get on that defense straight away, then that's when they're going to lose the base. But if they plug that hole and they stop people from getting through the wire and getting their HEs off, then they'll be able to repair, sort of thing. So I think a 5-10 second lockout is what is required for building.
And the devs have mentioned, I forget where I heard this, they have mentioned that they don't like the mechanics where and they were talking about this repair mechanic. It was mind-blowing to me, like, because they were talking about FAs, I think, on one of the streams, and mentioned that they don't like that the current meta or the current incentive structure is that you are supposed to repair the structure instead of deal with a threat, right? You need to incentivize contesting the threat. And they acknowledge that. I just don't think they've got the answer.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I think we've already made it clear and pitched out multiple answers, and it's just they don't see the right answer for them is the issue. Is they're looking at this whole pool of options,
The vision answer,
but there's none that quite meet their particular agenda, or want to laugh the vision. But I don't know, because I agree with you 100%. I even like put that directly on like my artillery rework. Is it should be, you should deal with the threat versus dealing with the threat is attacking.
Yeah. Could I take a sidestep here? I'd like to kind of point out 1010's comment, because I think it's something I actually saw yesterday. We didn't even talk about this at all very much, but basically what we were seeing in the Drown Vale side is the Colonials would have a Drown Vale border base show up every 2 or 3, every hour or so. It would just respawn. We go in, we HE it down with a stupid number of HEs, push them out. And when we were actually committing to our aggression on the other side of the border, they got another bunker base and they almost PvE'd Vessel behind us. They PvE'd one of the bunker bases we had set up on the border because the provisionals turned off, because provisional is a thing, and Vessel was under provisional as well. And so there was no actual active defenses there. And so a few Colonials that were just using those bunker bases just spawned in, PvE'd a bunker and reset it. That had a lot of supplies and a lot of defenses around it, and then almost got Vessel as well by the time we responded to it, which was pretty silly to look at.
Yeah.
I love David's reaction to that.
Yeah, it's when you've been talking about this shit for like 3 years, it's just like
Gets old.
it starts to wear on you a little bit.
I think on that topic we can move on to the real drama
Yeah.
of the moment here.
Let's go.
I used a bit of yours and a bit of mine for this one, there.
Yes. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room, which is you know the mortar half track. And I think the only issue with this is that you can't have something so early with the other side not having a clear response for it. And I think like me and Kaz talked about it, especially because we talked about balance on last Tuesday.
Yes.
Sorry, the wife distracted me. Um, what was I going with
10
this one?
lashes.
You're
Please,
talking
no,
about. We talked about this
faster.
Tuesday with game balance. Keep going.
Oh yeah, and just to put a little disclaimer out there is like this is not just general salt or hate on the mortar half track itself. It's more talking about the placement and the balance and the availability it is. Like that's all
Full
we're gonna be
disclosure,
talking about.
he loves using it.
I love like yeah, of course, it's one of the fucking the best, not one of the best vehicles in the game, but it is a good vehicle though. Like it's a good vehicle. It's just
It's one of the only
dangerous.
vehicles that is good at any stage in the game. I think that's important to
Of
say.
course,
Very
Uh,
versatile.
yeah.
and that's one thing that it's interesting that Foxhole needs more of it like this. But if you this is a good option. This is a good example of having something that you can't deal with it until later in the game. Like even using a Silverhand as an example, Silverhands come out so late in the war, you already have everything unlocked to deal with it. And it's
Yeah.
like if Silverhands came out the same day as Mortar Half Tracks, there would be some hell terrain. You get me? Like that's not fair.
I
We
mean,
can't have that.
I think the experiment of having different vehicles for factions has sort of run its course, at least in my opinion now, and I think it's very very clear that it's just not working. You know what I mean? Like the vehicles that they've introduced, by and large, are brilliant. It's what I've been asking for all along: more variations in vehicles, more tools to do what you're doing. But like the worst thing that they could have done is do that, but faction lock vehicles. You know what I mean? So that it's created this culture of our vehicle's more OP than yours and all that type of crap. People calling for the mortar half track to be taken out of the game and stuff like that. I don't agree with that at all. I think the mortar half track is an excellent addition to the game. It just should be for both factions. Same thing with the silver hand. Just have them reskinned, have them look completely different to each other, but the same core mechanics in the vehicles. I think that was
Yes.
one of the one of the best things about Foxhole, to tell you the truth. And if you go into faction lock vehicles, do it to I don't know, like only very like heavy vehicles, end game vehicles like walkers or battle tanks or something like that. Don't have it across the board because especially in early war, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it goes to like there was a lot of talk recently about people asking from everything from taking it out of the game to, like you said, a lot of people asking for asymmetry to stop. There's a lot of talk about coagulation inside of the community for the community to demand to the devs to stop with the asymmetry. A thing that I already told everybody, and I'll go publicly on record, is I honestly think 100% they're never going to give it up because they're too obsessed with this concept of you know. I'll just do a quick segue. I apologize, but it's necessary. So Joffrey asked him on press corp asked Mark about the vision and how does he see the mess of it and how people are talking about it constantly. I think he asked KFC as well about it, and the answer was we know it's a meme and whatever, but when it came to talk seriously about it, what they had to say is like all incredible. They give examples of some great games, and they said, well, these people that made these games made it because they had a way they saw it. I think they offered Counter Strike as an example, right? Because in the beginning, people asked the Counter-Strike, the guy that made Counter-Strike, to make it more like Doom and make it more like fast-paced and like Quake, sorry, not like Doom.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I don't want to make that. I want to make this, and that proved to be right. And that's what they think they're doing. They think
No.
that's how they motivated, at least.
Yeah,
And
that's not applicable. Like those two.
Yeah, I know,
No.
I know it's not applicable, but still, I'm telling you how they think about it, which is extremely wrong in my opinion as well. But the problem here is, I think the problem is they're comparing the arguments that people had in that scenario with our arguments, which are not the same thing. People were asking for a different game when they were talking about Counter-Strike, right? We're not asking for a different game. We're asking about the same game, but we're just making observations about what's not going well with the game, right? Nobody, I don't think anybody is against asymmetry as a concept, right? If they could do asymmetry and keep it balanced, I think everybody would be happy. But as Kaz explained to us multiple times in multiple streams by now, asymmetry is a crazy difficult thing to do. Like, look at Company of Heroes and other games like that have asymmetry, and how hard they work on it, and they still work on it even after like 7 years, 8 years. They're still working on the balance of the thing, right?
Like Company of Heroes even now has like a patch coming out probably later this week, and it's crazy.
And I want to emphasize something Dark brought up in this respect, because I think it's really critical to it, is that, in these other areas that do asymmetry, still, like, it's asymmetry, but it's asymmetry in very focused buckets, right? Like, you've got asymmetry, but you still have your tank destroyers. They're just a little, they're different. They're variables that have strengths and weaknesses. You still have your core tanks. You still have core tools that are on the field that give you some kind of competitive base. You don't have huge pieces of territory. We have overwhelming advantages and disadvantages that the other faction has limited or just mythical answers to. And the way that they've introduced vehicles here is they're introducing a lot of vehicles that don't fit into like proper tiers. Like, they're just what I'm gonna call really niche or meme equipment, and you're leaving out very, very important key elements. And this came up when the Silverhammer was released. The declares like, we don't have a tank of the line. Look what's going on here. That was a severe complaint that they had. Now they have this tank destroyer that's being substituted as a tank of the line. And I think that people have some genuine concerns about that. But I know we're not supposed to talk about the tank destroyer, not going to, but it doesn't fit the role that they're using it as. This is this best option they got. But there's some really missing elements that should be a part of the puzzle that are just holes everywhere. It's Swiss cheese all over the place.
So,
And
sorry,
I just want to put.
go ahead.
Okay, I was like, so asymmetrical design is a good concept, but only if you have the core toolbox available. If as long as both sides have the core mechanics and the core answers and responses for anything, then you can start branching off of what little tidbits and experiments on vehicles they could have. And because once you have, because the thing is, if you make that core foundation of tools, you can even like balancing even comes naturally for that. You get what I mean? It's like, oh, if we make this, well, this side has that, so they can counter it with this. You get me? But it's just, I don't know. Just thinking of it and how they do it is just causing more problems and more, like the fact that they haven't completely ironed out the tech tree, and it's completely like, okay, let's put this back early in the tech tree again and see how it goes. And then we end up losing like, what was it like? I forgot, someone said it was like 5 hours worth of progress done in like one.
So
I don't know what the Reddit post.
yeah, I'll show it in a second. I just want to address a few things. So, like Fancy said, to your point with that symmetry, I think Fancy made an excellent point. An RTS has thousands of games going on constantly, right? That's a whole, a huge amount of data to collect balance stuff from, right? And to see how it works. In Foxhole, you have one big war going, and you can't really correct the data as easily. So that's one thing. That's one thing that RTSs are always going to be superior in using asymmetry compared to a game like this. That's one incredible good point. A second incredible good point from Maybar is, and we already discussed and suggested this multiple times, is a reverse engineering procedure for the enemy equipment. You don't get to build them en masse, but if you follow some like strict rules, I don't know, you mine the husk of that vehicle and you get the parts or whatever, you should be able to make a limited series of your own enemy vehicles, right?
Yeah.
like something like that would save a lot of grief for everybody, right? Yeah, like the faction that doesn't have the vehicle is never gonna get even close to the amount of vehicles the enemy faction has, but they will still have the tools to fight the enemy with their own tools. And even like, 'cause, I know we always like to ballet around real life and Foxhole, and devs do this as well. Even in reality, like how many enemy tanks and stuff was captured from one side to another and used against each other, World War II and stuff like that. A lot.
Oh, massive amounts.
Exactly.
Massive amounts, especially from Germany when they're
Yeah.
allies out of Europe. Yeah.
So, like, it's extremely viable from all points of view, right? To have this into the game. I don't understand why we're not getting anything about this. I think it would have been a huge.
It's a wasted opportunity, isn't it?
Yes, extremely wasted. Because it would have been, especially if you would add to it what you were talking about earlier, changing the color of it, because like that was, even in World War II, they would like change markings on them or change the camouflage on
Yeah.
them. That would make them even like way cooler. And
Yeah.
the people having them would feel that pride of having the enemy's vehicle in their color, stuff like that. It would have just enhanced the.
I mean, it's not as if it's not as if that you're asking for like massively unique customization
No,
options. It's
no.
literally just taking it to a vehicle factory and spraying it in your factory's
paint.
color.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's it. Yeah, absolutely. And now I want to move on Yonogun's point, because I actually have the screenshots from the Reddit post, and like I know some people might think, well, it took 5 hours, and it's not a long time, and I would agree with you. If it would have been late game, taking this amount of ground in 5 hours would have been more than acceptable, but in early game, like you guys need to understand, the defenses on the left picture were built during 2 days, 2 full days of people fighting the enemy and building defenses behind them, right? For that amount of defenses to disappear in 5 hours because of only one vehicle crewed by competent people, I think that's a bit extreme, on the extreme side, to be honest. Like that is a bit of a like burn for the faction that spent two days building that. Again, I'm not saying that in like the pushes shouldn't be possible that fast. They should be possible that fast, but not as a consequence of only one vehicle that shows up as a prototype and just wipes out everything in 5 hours, right? I don't know. It feels a bit too over the top.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard to visualize. Like I saw this and I've seen the screenshots and I've heard the massive overwhelming outrage about it, and I'm trying to think, like, it was their counterplay available, and I wasn't there, so I'm not going to be overly critical of the situation. So I know that a lot of people that were there said this is absolute horse crap. There's nothing they could do about it. But I just want to make sure we're not asking like that we at least ask the hard question: did we, as the defenders of that situation, misplay the situation?
Well,
in addition to this against the strength, right? Just to ask the question.
Yeah, no, and it's a good question to ask. But I think mentioning that we had World Navy there, and I'm pretty sure other veterans that came in, because there was a QRF and everything to the situation. There were veterans responding to the situation, especially World Navy being involved, in a very direct way there, and so a misplay is still possible. But what I'm trying to say is what I can tell you for sure and know for a fact, there was an important concentration of veteran players that actually knew what they were doing in that area.
I mean, realistically, the only thing that we had at our disposal was sticky grenades, and that proto managed to maneuver in such a way that it was invulnerable against vets trying to sticky grenade them. And so, in one respect, kudos to them for maneuvering it like as well as it did. Again, I know that seems like some people are going to roll their eyes at that, but
No,
that's not a
it's
simple thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a huge advantage they had, but they played that advantage frankly, perfectly.
Yeah, but like looking at the picture is without even doing any measurements, I can just tell you from the picture. If the enemy mortar half track would have just went to where the colonial defenses line is, fired at the enemy and backed up every time their escort told them
Yeah.
wardens are approaching, there would be no way for the wardens to deal with it, because it's not necessarily because it would be retreating, but because it's too fast. It's extremely fast. Nothing can catch on it this early in the game, and like it doesn't matter how well the wardens coordinated the sticky rush. It would again. I want to point out, not taking away from the people crewing it. Good job to them. It's, you know, some people that weren't as proficient would have lost it because they didn't retreat or some stuff like that. But still, like I find it. All you need to do here is go up, reverse, go up, reverse. Never
Right.
overextend your defense line, and you are fine.
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure the colonies just like slowly build up when they remove defenses. So, you know, like it's like, oh, okay, we can just put a bit few bunkers in between, and you know.
So even in that situation, you're taking out those defenses and slowly having enough CE support and supplies to continue to have a defensive line that's maneuvering and denying that space is an excellent execution. Yeah, it's strong, but they executed well with it, and I completely get. And I'm not trying to defend that the mortar half track is coming out too soon. I think it is coming out too soon, but I just want to make sure we as a faction, we as a team, don't look at that frustration and don't criticize and critique our own gameplay in the process, because that's a mistake as well.
I think one thing also Shiv is saying is like the position, the placement of it, and how fast they were able to acquire this prototype versus the answers to deal with it. We didn't even have smokes at the time, so you couldn't even
Yeah, of
smoke
course.
sticky it. It was just the stickies alone. And imagining, I saw this one picture that was just the it was just the
1 second, sorry. I just wanted. I'll show it on stream right now.
oh, you have the picture I was talking about.
One that Shiv sent it. What's the one you're talking about? Maybe I have that one as well.
It could be that one. It could be that one. But it's like, how are you supposed to rush? Exactly. How are you supposed to rush sticky that? Like, it's like literally that spot was. I'm not saying that's the key spot, but if the mortar half track has been there causing damage in that spot, and that's just an example. How are you supposed to, you know, mass sticky and get that?
And that's fair, but how much effort does it take to create that position for them to fire from? They can't destroy that whole swath of no man's land from that one spot. They still have to maneuver, and you have to maneuver your defenses in such a way that you can recreate that over and over again. That takes time, energy, a lot of resources, and a lot of coordination.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. Like, to make this is just me. How fast it is to whip up tier 2 garrison bunkers, like rifle garrisons, doesn't take that much effort.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's somewhere in between, you guys. You know, like the truth is always in between. So I feel Kaz actually definitely has a point, and Dark has a point. These days, if you have a few builders that know what they're doing, that position doesn't take that long. A few shovels, a few B-mats, you can get it up in 5-10 minutes. But to Kaz's point, that still is a hassle, right? That still requires effort, coordination, requires people knowing what they're doing, not putting random stuff where it doesn't belong, and so on and so forth. So I think definitely it's a combination between the crew and the people helping them knowing what they were doing, and you know, it being a bit easy on the easy side to do it. But you know, they don't cancel each other out; they help each other out, right? It's a combination of both of them.
Yes. It's the whole picture, right? Every battlefield is made up of all the parts together, and the parts together make a situation where the mortar half track is quite strong, especially at this early stage of the war.
And even take context the same way as we were able to regain that whole ground because our faction was able to loot one mortar half track, and we were able to
Yeah.
reverse the whole thing that the colonials did, you know. And that's just so funny how it's like, you know. But even give it to them, like they, correct me if I'm wrong, were they fully teched when we did that, or was it like?
I think
No,
this was a prototype that did this. That this is what happened here was because of one prototype.
But the one that we stole was the one that
I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna claim.
The screenshot looked like it was a normal one, Dark, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, screenshot is a bit blurry. So no, the one in the screenshot is definitely a prototype.
No, the one that we stole.
Oh, the one we stole.
The one we stole with the WN guys, and it looked like a full one.
Yeah, so it's like they had essentially the response back to it, but to me it's just crazy how one vehicle pretty much is the key of this. In competent hands, it could do so much devastating damage. It could win you towns like this, and it's just nuts to me. But I feel like we're done. Are we done with this topic? I feel like
Yeah, I think
beating
yeah.
this horse.
Don't sit too much
So
on.
how about, okay? This is just me. We did a lot of talking about this. Let's be productive here. Let's talk about what type of suggestions or improvements you could do for this. Like, what would your guys' final thoughts
Obvious
on
answer is it needs to be
solutions?
later in the tree, right? You have to have appropriate answers releasing around the similar times to each other. And so a later time in the tree is what makes sense. And part of what is awkward about this is that Foxhole allows you to skip areas of the tech tree, right? And so I think the devs put it in a tech tree where if you could access it at that point when you're supposed to, like maybe through auto teching question mark, which is something a lot of us have been desperately crying out for, it wouldn't probably be an issue. But because you can skip levels of the tech tree, you can get things a lot earlier than you probably should, which create really awkward situations like this.
I know a suggestion from a lot of people was to just lock the mortar ammo, the normal mortar ammo in the tech tree, like you lock everything else, but leave the half truck. They can give it early to them as long as it's only firing like shrapnel shells and
Yeah, I mean, I could get behind the idea of it just being a support vehicle.
flares,
So, like,
flares,
shrapnel, bigger flares. Yeah, I mean that type of shit. That would be great. Yeah, but I think the real answer is just giving the wardens one. To tell you the truth.
Not necessarily
Like,
the same model, like the same looking thing. Make
No,
it different.
no, it's like-
Whatever.
It's not elegant, but it does fix the problem. I get where you're
Dude,
going.
to tell you
Yeah.
the truth, at this point, I'd just settle for the same model colored blue. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just the whole thing about the mortar half track is it's unique in its classification on the battlefield. I would say
Mhm.
as like a mobile artillery. There's no other thing in the game like it. There's no mechanized artillery in the game, and
Gunboats.
well,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
yeah, I mean, the mobile artillery needs to be a classification that is fulfilled by both factions. You know what I mean? So even if I've heard things like mortar jeeps and stuff like that. I mean, whatever, but it does, like, our faction needs a classification of mobile artillery, and I'm not talking about pushable artillery. I'm talking about like actually mechanized artillery. And in the same breath, the colonials need something that I would like, something like a tank of the line, that's a lot better than, well, not necessarily better than the what they've got at the moment, which is like the speedy light tank and all that type of shit, because
Just something that can
they have their own
combine.
place. But yeah,
Yeah, I think definitely on what we're discussing here. Uh, the big issue is the devs didn't set the rock paper scissors of the game, and I don't understand how you go around and create a system without doing that first. Like in my head, and I'm no expert, in stuff like this, but if you go for asymmetry, you go and say, right, so we need to set up the categories of equipment in the game. I don't know, line tanks, tank destroyers, mortars, artillery, blah blah blah. Put all of them on a paper, right? And then just try and figure out what beats what and how you get what I'm saying. Like put down the paper, the system on paper first, and then worry about the actual vehicles. I feel like they're doing the vehicles and they're worrying about what wins against what after that, which is the worst way possible to do it. Because my personal grip with all of this is I never understood why do we need to have stuff like why did the wardens have to have a medium tank but the colonials don't? Why is that a thing? Why couldn't both medium tanks be launched at the same time for both factions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why couldn't both artillery solutions, mid-game or whatever, be launched at the same time for both factions? Don't get me wrong, they could be totally asymmetric. Absolutely totally asymmetric. One can be like a fucking bicycle and the other one can be a battle tank. As long as they have the same role or you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Why does the asymmetry mean hard counters cannot come in the same package? It makes no sense to me. anyway, we kind of spent a lot of time on that, and we talked about showing a bit of Shiv's video here to talk about this, because Mark launched this interesting topic in one of the dev streams where he claimed early access is no excuse for game breaking bugs, right? And that's a very interesting topic, because we've been discussing it for a while. So we're not gonna watch the entire video. We're just gonna watch a bit at the end, which is very interesting to us. And then I'll probably show you a small clip as well. But that probably we should go for the video first from Shiv. Give me a second here. I don't know why this wasn't on max, but here we go.
Wow, Racer, how dare you?
This is Kaz's favorite moment.
Chosen son, Callahan needs this CV.
Callahan is taking the CV to the promised land.
The hand of Callahan, just picking it up.
This CV is going to the vision.
Oh man,
That's so funny. Just
did I think I watched this video. Isn't there like a
Oh.
like a god tier fucking colonial battle tank?
Here it comes.
Doesn't fire with-
It's right here. You call on it and it appeared.
What is that? The immune?
Yes.
one where it can't die?
Yes.
Invincible tank. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Look
then
at the amount of
It
shit.
doesn't it cut to a colonial streamer and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, and it's getting
The poor
damaged or
guy was like-
something.
it's spoiling the whole thing, mate.
Okay.
Ah.
Act like we are taking damage. That's the one. Fucking assholes, man. Jesus Christ. Not that we wouldn't do it as well, like.
I think.
That's too
I
great.
think public.
The guy's face though is so fucking. Like the poor guy's like, what?
What the fuck did you just say?
Fucking God.
What we don't see early access as right now, maybe earlier on, but right now we don't see it as an excuse for like major bugs or like broken, outright bad things like players flying around everywhere and like the art being completely broken. That's a bad excuse, and I don't like it when I see things like, oh well, like the game's in early access, so you should like give it a break. Like for those things, I actually generally feel like it's not a valid excuse, and if something is broken like that, we should fix it. And early access is not an excuse for that. Early access is not an excuse for that. Early access is not an excuse for that. But I feel like what we do like to take advantage of during the early access period is experimenting with the game mechanics. And I
Congratulations, boys. We've made cancer.
Oh God. Oh dear, Shiv.
And
This is a great work from Shiv, though. I really enjoyed this.
I like that outro as
Oh
well.
fuck! You're showing anime on our fucking stream.
get the skip
Yeah.
over here. I kind of want to make my own contribution to this. I have a little clip. I know. And Shiv, I'll give it to you. Don't worry, you can put it in the next video.
Shiv called you out. You didn't like his video.
Oh my god, yeah. I'll fucking fix that. Oh no, actually, I did like your video, asshole. This is the second browser I use. Because like I do multiple stuffs, and this one is only for the stuff related to the stream. I liked it on the
lie.
other one. Yeah, I would never lie.
There is a other content creator. I believe he's Korean. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I absolutely adore his fucking his editing. Like it's just so fucking funny. Like he makes Foxhole and all of its bugs so funny to like, just to like listen to.
So I don't have sound on this either, but like I'm just playing it so people can enjoy it. So I'm playing this just because of what Mark said there at the ending, where he thinks game breaking stuff shouldn't be in the game, and to me it doesn't really get more game breaking than this when you can do sort of this stuff in the game, where you can just go to Brazil whenever you feel like it. And it's like the funny part, it keeps going for a long time. I'm gonna probably fast forward a bit.
What? So you just keep on dropping?
Oh yeah, I'm basically under the map, but I'm going, and you can see on my I just switched planes of existence here. You can check out my binos here. The distance is going and going and going.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like the shortest way to Brazil. If you guys are interested, I know exactly where you can get through. It's a fun trip for the entire
3,000
family.
meters on your bino.
Yeah,
Fucking a blemish from Deadlands.
I mean, some people even had a bit of luck, like traveling like this. No lie, you know. I don't think they were actually able to see shit, but still, it's a bit worrying.
I think there should be like an installation that you should be able to build. Like all this shit about trains, I've never understood it. When you should have like being able to like get hot air balloons or something like that. You know what I mean? On your backline maps, where you take them up in the air and you can fucking take a look at Blemish or whatever.
Avidus's hot air balloon rides. This is your new business concept coming to life.
Yeah.
It's like if you how far
God
you can
fucking damn it! Why do I open my mouth?
We got you again. Anyway,
That's recorded.
smile. No, but yeah, I think they definitely lost this point. At least I know, because we have come to a point where I can already tell you what Mark is gonna say if hopefully somebody confronts him with this. He's gonna say, "Well, I was referring to game-breaking stuff like players flying and whatever else he said there."
It goes back to what I was saying to you the other day. It all depends on what you define
exactly.
as a game breaking bug. If they define game breaking bug as well, if you can't log into the game or if you can't like pull a rifle from a town hall, if you can log into the game, go to a town hall, set your spawn and pull a rifle, and then go to a front and shoot shit, they probably don't count.
As
Everything
yeah.
outside of that is probably counted as non-essential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for
It's more of a what's the word for it? It's an issue, but it's not a game breaking issue. You know, it because I know exactly what I was saying. That's what I tried to tell you other time as well. Is they're gonna look at it as well. You didn't have to spawn from there. You didn't have to do that. You went out of there on your own. You get me? Like, what about this is preventing you from playing our game? That's
yeah,
the
and I
response
get I get that point totally. But for me personally, if I cannot do what I want to do with the tools you gave me, then that's game breaking. Like, you know, and the heavy armor car is a great example. It cannot go up hills. How how are people supposed to fucking use it if it cannot go up a hill?
I think the
Then-
main reason people are getting pissed off at shit like that is because they take out public testing.
Oh,
They took out public testing.
well,
didn't
you
they?
have
Yeah?
the dev branch, but still, like.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, literally shit like that. It would literally, right? All they would need to do to fix that type of shit and make sure it doesn't happen is say like, right, um, uh, you know, I'm just going to use it randomly, like Bob, right? Okay, Bob works for fucking Clapfoot. Bob, we've just fucking made this armored car. Okay, what we want you to do is now that it's made, it's your turn to drive it around the map for an hour and a half as part of your shift today. And if you run into any fucking problems with the driving, with anything, if you get stuck places or wherever, you report that shit. You know what I mean? That's all it would take. An hour and a half out of their schedule, one man driving it around the map for an hour and a half out of his shift. Every time they make a vehicle,
I
and
get what
half
you're
the
saying.
shit would never come up as a bug.
The funnier part of it is because, you know, the defense to that will be like, you know, we're a small team, we don't have the time to dedicate somebody to do that. But the funny part about this is there's like fucking, you know, probably hundreds of people that would do that for free if they would just allow them to.
Yeah, I mean, they could literally have Stranger chained in the basement, just like fucking play testing all day. That guy would just keep on doing it. You know what I mean? So they don't really have the excuse, in my opinion, of releasing bugged vehicles that can't even make it up the side of a small incline or something like that.
And
Because it doesn't take very much
I know.
for that to come up in testing.
I know I mentioned a lot the fact that it can go up a hill, but you know what's even worse, and it's not as obvious. You know, when we went up to Overlook, I found a way to get it up. It's, you know, we're intuitive people. We can find solutions around problems like this. But you know what was way more harder than getting it up the hill? Using it up downhill, because every time you would go a bit downhill, the car would just want to go, like just want to go directly down, and it most of the time to stop it you need to jump out of the fucking vehicle. That's the handbrake right now. So that was like, imagine trying to fight downhill where you are supposed to have the advantage and not being able to stop your vehicle from going forward into enemy defenses. That's basically the heavy armor car. It can't even, like, you know, hold its ground. Basically, it always goes down. Oh god, it's just bad.
I saw. Have we got the truck, the colonial truck that's coming out on this?
Yeah, we could probably start
Not there yet,
moving
but
towards that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because that is just like, who the fuck had the idea of putting a boost in a truck? My god.
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get there. Let's go into the development date now. And
Yeah.
what what do we got, baby?
Yeah, let's start with the update here. We were promised the world. I'm gonna say that we were promised the world. They hyped it up a bit too much, if you ask me. Like, especially with the vehicles, they were like, "Ah, get ready, guys! These vehicles, poof! You guys are gonna go nuts." And when I saw them, I was like, "What? Are you guys joking again? Are these like, you know?" So let's just
All right, I said
let's just
it.
go
I
into
just that last week because these are not fucking like game breaking.
Well, see, I want to start on this one because I have a huge question. I know I'm not gonna get an answer to it, or even if I get the answer, it's gonna be something, you know, lore related or like. But my main question is, you know, aside from the people, everybody's gonna accuse me that I'm saying this because I just want to use it for myself, which I'm gonna get to do anyway because people are gonna steal these like crazy. But my main question is. The Colonials already have their open top Jeep with 4 slots, and off of those Jeeps you can use in the back and in the seats you can use binos, you can use
yeah, I never even
pistols.
thought about that.
Yeah, so they already have a vehicle on this niche role, right? It's not, of course, it's not closed top. This thing is also armored, so it takes more damage than your usual Jeep.
Yeah.
But the question is, if one faction already has this tool, why are they getting a second iteration of it that more or less does the same thing, sort of?
Yeah.
That's what I didn't get.
I mean, I'm always for variants in vehicles. It just seems a little bit counterintuitive. It just seems a bit. It seems almost like it's a worse version of that Jeep.
I'll tell you.
You know what I
I'll tell
mean?
you my grip with it. On the Spitfire, you guys know the Spitfire, only the LMG on the Warden side. If you're on the passenger seat, you cannot use your binos, right? And I'm like, well, why don't we get to use our binos in an open top Jeep, but the Colonials get multiple versions of it with using the bino? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like, why can't we have nice things?
Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, though, I would be saying the same exact thing if the shoe was on the other foot. You know what I mean? If we had 2 versions of this Jeep, I'd be saying, why do we have 2 versions of this Jeep and the Colonials don't even have one? You know what I mean? It's just like it would seem weird.
It does. It does really seem weird.
I mean, that being said, take all of that shit out of the equation and just look at the vehicle for what it is. It is definitely going to have use. It's like especially a DK up commander's wet dream. This thing, you know what I mean? Being able to be in a nice enclosed space where you can go and scout the enemy line, see its defenses, get around quite quickly in a relatively safe and maneuverable vehicle. It's excellent. You know what I mean? Like the only problem with it is that they've already got something that does that, and frankly does it better, because you can have 3 guys with binos looking around and having their own opinions of things and talking about the plan and shit like that in Discord while observing it on the ground themselves. So I think that is a lot better, to tell you the truth. Or you could have 2 guys looking out for danger, for instance, while the other guy scouts, you know, in that other one. So I think that is actually a better vehicle for this role. I think this should have been a Warden vehicle, to tell you the truth. This vehicle should have been our version of that scout
Of
vehicle.
that, yeah, I feel the
Yeah.
same way. To keep it fair to Idle's point, we get to use Spinos on our amphibious jeep, which we'll see here in a second, and we'll discuss more there. But I feel like that is totally specialized on something else and doesn't really like apply to. I mean, yeah, it's still useful and it's still better than nothing. But I don't feel like you said. I don't feel it's in the exact counter of this, right?
I mean, it feels like a Warden vehicle even more. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't have as many spots in it. You only get, but it's more armored, and it might be a little bit slower than the Colonial one, but it's enclosed, so you can't get shot and things like that. It feels like a Warden vehicle, and I think it should have been, to tell you the truth.
All I see is another vehicle that's going to suicide the front lines and just absolutely take a little more extra effort to destroy.
Yeah, again, another vehicle to use against those FAs, those emplacements, all of that stuff. Because it's gonna take the extra effort, like Dark said, and probably small arms are gonna have a really hard time. So you're always gonna need some sort of proper stopping power, like a tank or something, an RPG or something, to stop this thing.
What I'd really like to see is the option to use an SMG out the top of this thing or something.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice. Yeah,
so
I
you
agree.
can drive by people. Yeah.
Say hello to my little friend. Yeah. Okay, let's keep it going. I don't know if Kaz is still with us and wanna
No,
jump
I'm still
in.
here.
It scared me. I thought he was gone.
No, I'm
They
still here. I'm kind
gives us
of on the sideline here. You guys talked about things with 4 wheels, and I started to zone out a little bit.
drift away. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I know we have
You
things
too.
on 2 wheels, so stand by.
Oh, okay.
I think I got the wrong. Yeah, give me a second. I can correct this, guys. Don't look at it. Don't look. Okay, there. Now.
Reverse brigade.
Now. This is the actual new vehicle. Don't worry about it. It's
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's a dark special, just in case you guys were wondering.
It's beautiful that they're releasing these Warden field guns that completely relate to Orc equipment, and it's just so funny.
I mean, I'd be very surprised if they're not drawing at least some inspiration from 40k these days, because some of the shit that's coming out, like I've said it before, the fucking Silver Hands, it's just a fucking Lehman Russ, isn't it?
So
This is a colonial captured variant. Keep in mind.
moving a bit back to the actual thing. So what happened here is they took the gun from the LT, slapped it on the body of the FA, and called it a day.
And that is possibly the most useless thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like that. And, trying to keep on the bias side, and, I just want to say that this doesn't have to do anything with colonials, but Dark has a theory, and I want to just echo it just in case it's going to actually happen. I think it's a decent chance of it. Dark thinks that, at some point they're going to release one pushable, a similar gun like this for the colonials, and that is going to be the one actually useful one.
Yeah, won't surprise me.
Best pushable field gun will be the colonials. And
They'll get one of their. They'll get like a Hellstorm rocket battery or something like that, won't they? Where it'll just be fucking loads of rockets that'll just obliterate an entire town or something like that. It's like, oh well, part of the law is they didn't really branch out into different types of pushables. They just focused on one. Okay, so they've got this really, really useful one, but the wardens have got
so many
different ones.
So many versatile.
The funny thing is, it's always hammered down as a downgrade. You know what I mean? The range, for example, it's just a 5-meter range difference compared to the tank version. But it's all this other shite is just what the fucking reason? What's the reason behind all these nerfing ranges and whatnot? You know what I mean? It's the whole point of these field guns. The more you push them closer to the front, the worse and worse they fucking become.
Exactly, and I don't see it's a bit counterintuitive if you think about it. So a gun that is mounted on a vehicle has more range than a gun that has a stable platform that can be moved around and position entrenched. Because think about it, if this would be in any way realistic, this thing would be entrenched. You wouldn't need to just push it on an empty field and start trying to snipe shit with it, right? You would cover it up with some like net and camouflage and shit, sandbag position it. You get what I'm saying? Like, sure you can
That's
move
like all
it.
field, all frontline, like actual practical field equipment like that are exactly like you say, Razor. Like they're supposed to be lined up, entrenched, and to help fortify positions. But Foxhole is taking a real weird approach with how it thinks field equipment should be used, and it should be used as you're pushing it in frontline assaults, and it's just like no, like the whole point of this is that the crew's exposed, it's good firepower in a great enforced position, but it doesn't really work that way right now.
So, Guns is asking a serious question here if this is not going to allow people to just PV even harder. My answer to that would be no, just because it's extremely hard to PVE with a gun like this. Like, think about it. One guy with one SMG just, comes up to you and you're done for. One grenade, one grenache. Like, there's so many scenarios in which you get killed in this thing, right? When you're doing PVE and you want to do effective PVE, you need a fast, versatile vehicle like the mortar half truck, right? Like you need something fast that moves around and can run from enemies and stuff like that. On the Warden side, let's see what's good PVE on the Warden side. Because Silverhands, I guess, Silverhands can do a good PVE here. Get a line of them, push defenses fast, can relocate and such. But with this thing, it's slow. It's hard to maneuver. It takes a lot of time to get from A to B and such. Like, you don't want this for PVing. If anything, you want this to slowly push with the line, maybe, Dark, right? Just like continue pushing down.
So it just seems like it's a budget excuse to not have a tank. You get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this in an AT, you get a real budget Silverhand, but it's just. I mean, I was using the AT gun religiously yesterday, and I was like having an absolute blast. But with
That's a
the thing
different
is, under the
discussion,
right
though.
conditions, yeah, under the
Yeah.
right conditions, it could be amazing. But this is essentially a more like this is more for pushing structures. Yeah, this is does a normal 40 millimeter round one shot a foxhole.
I believe so right now. Yeah, because it took a nerf on HP and
This is
such.
just supposed to be the foxhole slash defense.
Yeah, Dark. But like,
Essentially.
if you think about if we're talking about foxholes, why would you use this? Just use a half truck. Half truck melt foxholes right now. You know what I mean? HMGs
Aren't
melt
40
them.
millimeter shells like extremely cheap?
Yeah,
I'm
but
just throwing it out there. 'Cause they're
if,
cheap
if
enough with the wazoo. It's something to use.
I feel like
Like it.
if you would, no, I say if you would make a gun like this, you'd make it against the things we can't remove, which are the tier 2 rifle garrisons, right? That's what it should be
Of course.
effective against, right? That's what at least how I feel like it. Who knows?
And again, you're right on that too. But and the same thing is it's gonna meet with the same resistance that
Oh yeah,
what the siege,
definitely.
which is the funny thing is like you can just grenade the siege mortar. As long as you see it, you can grenade it. This one, you can just rifle grenade it, and it still doesn't like. As soon as you bring it up, you're still going to be welcomed by this breaking news. Chance of raining grenades. Yep, brace for impact, and then you just get showered with grenades everywhere,
It's
and it's
it's
just not fun.
I'm struggling to find a role for it as well because like you can't talk about vehicles because the FAT is 10 times better, right? Talk about defenses. You have the field mortar, even if it's like slower and you need to get closer. At least with the field mortar, if you get in there and hit, well, that's a hit. You know what I mean? Like that's actually gonna do damage, proper damage. This thing was gonna take you like what? Even for a rifle garrison, probably gonna take you like what? Upwards of 5 to 6 shot to take it down. I would
Real
guess.
time, like once you take that first shot, you're at a timer of you need to get the
Yeah.
fuck out.
With the field mortar at least, I don't know exactly, but I filmed 2 shells on the rifle garrison just deletes it, right? I'm pretty confident.
It's just like if it's two that doesn't destroy it, the third one's guaranteed.
Definitely.
Even
So,
then,
And it's also, I don't know how expensive this thing is going to be to make, but with the field mortar, you also know it's cheap, right? So, arguably, if you push it in and take down a bunch of rifle garrisons, You don't care. You're like, well, we took down some defenses. We lost it. I don't give a fuck. Next, maybe on the next one.
It's gonna be cheap too. It's not saying
Oh,
like
yeah,
look
but
at it. It's very early in the tech tree, and it's
yeah,
if we think about it systematically, the things that
I
are earlier in the tech tree are cheaper than the things later.
I feel like this thing's not gonna be get teched. That's my bottom line. I don't know.
Depends what it's paired up with. You get me? Like
Oh, if everything else is trash, yeah. It's a
because
bit
the thing is,
hard. It's a bit hard to get like more trash than this though. I feel like on that line you'll find probably unless you put buses or some shit with it. And looking at the
because
devs and on how they do it, it's gonna probably be on the line with other emplacements. So or
well,
the
this is what I'm trying to say here is, it's more versatile. It's like one of like like the 40 millimeter shell is probably the most versatile shell we have in the game because you can use
Mhm.
it for structures, you can use it for vehicles, you could even use it on infantry. And this thing is just the whole. My purpose here is just if you can't fit that, and that's the thing is the shell is itself is not too destructive or important enough to bring in the battlefield because this is going to be out replaced by a light tank. You get what I mean? Or even when silver hands come out. But that's the thing is like this suffers the same fate that the light tank has, and then later the light tank suffers because the silver hand has, and it's just there are way bigger and better things to get than just utilize this. This thing is going to use any. It's going to be useful for like what the first time it's teched in the war, and then later on, once you have the more better mobile version platforms, why
it's
would you
gone.
use that?
Yeah, I think I do agree with Shiv. Like the one, if it gets put against the heavy AC, definitely taking this thing. Fuck it. Like,
Take this over the hack.
absolutely any day, any day. Because like, at least this thing is like you could probably build like two of these instead of a hack, and also if you put them in the MPF, you're gonna probably get a shit ton of these for a low cost. And even if you do like fucking like suicides with it, it's still good. But like, there's also the point Fancy's making, which is an extremely important point that devs always don't take into consideration, is being cheap is one thing, bringing stuff to the front line is another thing, a way harder thing. Takes a lot of effort. Logi and Klaus can tell you, and Iwan can tell you how hard it is to like constantly ship in shirts, ammo, guns, grenades, gas mask, filters, utility, emplacements, BMATs. Like, you don't even know what to prioritize first. And as soon as you brought something, everybody's already yelling that something else is missing, right? Add to this partisans and radio coverage and all of that jazz, and it's like, do people want to worry
Yeah, this is
about?
definitely something that I feel like I guess just a workaround is it'd be interesting that you can actually submit these come in crates, like you can submit it into a bunker base and you can assemble it. You get what I mean? And it just spawns out of there from that base. But it's an interesting thing, just that was just a random suggestion out there, but
Yeah,
something to help transporting it. And that's the thing is the same effort to transport this weak vehicle, it takes the same effort to transport something that costs 8 times
I
and
think
no matter what, it's still.
they said that they were talking about some way of getting field guns to the front a lot more efficiently. I do
hopefully,
remember them saying that
hopefully.
quite recently as well. So
Hopefully, if that will be one good bonus for field equipment in general to like increase its use. I feel like one thing they could do, and this is just a general change for field equipment, is have them fire not like how a tank fires or like a rifle fires, but have it fire like how a field artillery gun fires. But instead of it being very sloped, it's more on a direct straight line with the slope. You get what I
right,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So that way you can actually have coordination and use these equipments, pretty much how you would use it practically in real life. And I think it would have good, increase its range just so that way it's at a good spot. But you're still not sniping things from a long distance. You still have to shoot whatever's in front of you. And I think that's what gives these type of equipment that would give it that edge of what it needs to actually be viable.
Right. I think we kind of spend enough time on this. Let's go on the.
I want Kaz's input on this stuff because this is
Yeah,
somewhat in infantry's.
it doesn't have 4 wheels, so Kaz, you're up.
I mean, it does have 2 wheels, but I mean, everything you guys said, I'm completely on board with. This is Shiza. I'm not planning to use it. If one of the other sections want to give it a try, it's fine, but forget it.
Very to the point there.
So, I mean, I don't see any redeeming quality for this thing.
Here's your baby, Avitus. I'll give you lead.
So the truck, right? Okay. I don't know who thought it was going to be a good idea, but I know for a certain fact that this is how the conversation went, right? Right. So there's a supply truck that is going through a particularly hostile road that needs to get to a base. Okay. There's some partisans on this road. The partisans just jumped out of a bush. Let's boost through the partisan attack and get away from it. Okay. Yeah, that's all well and good in that circumstance. That it would be a cool mechanic to get to nitro away from these partisans, but that is not how this truck is going to be fucking used
by anyone.
Okay, I like anybody that's played Foxhole for more than a couple of wars will know exactly how this truck is going to be used before I even fucking say anything. Okay, so like, let's say for instance you got a nice shiny, brand new silver hand, okay, and you're just getting ready to leave your defenses and go on the offensive for the first time, and one of these things fucking boosts past a couple of AT guns that are supposed to be protecting you, and a load of heretics pile out of the back with sticky grenades and fuck your battle, your silver hand in the arse. Okay, that is what is going to fucking happen. I guarantee it. There's just. That is the primary use for this truck. The primary use.
Yes, I think everybody can agree with that. Like I'm personally.
Who the fuck thought this was going to be a good idea?
Jihad truck.
Another example.
You know, people were asking.
Not playing their own game.
You know, people asking about jihad trucks. There you are, guys. Like we were memeing around about like suiciding jihad trucks into the enemy lines. Well, no memes needed now.
Guzzle the gasoline and throw it down the engine.
We'll have to see if it's gonna get fixed. I actually saw it in Dev Branch. Somebody testing it out, and right now the fuel leaks even when you're not boosting. Like it has more fuel consumption than the old battle tanks on petrol. But hopefully that's a bug.
The crazy thing is hopefully, depending on what the final stats are, the current Dev Branch stats, Logi wouldn't even consider using it because it would be.
But it's not for Logi. This is the thing. It's not even for Logi. This is like they did this for I'm sure very innocent reasons and stuff like that. But this truck is going to be used for one singular purpose, and that is to destroy your artillery gun stack. That is, there's very little an infantry squad can do about something coming down the road at 80 miles an hour. You know what I mean? There's very little we can do these days. Like, unless we've got like a fucking RPG that just happens to be in the right location.
I was about to say, the only answer to this is destroying it on the spot, because disabling it is not going to mean anything. The momentum of the truck is going to keep it going at full speed until it gets wherever you want to go anyway. Because remember, now if you disable the truck, that's all fine and dandy. It's going to still continue having momentum and coming towards you.
But I mean, you've got to remember the tanks as well, that are like Maybar's tank before, where it's like speeding through a couple of AT guns to kill that artillery gun. This is going to be the same. It's just going to be extremely cheap to do that.
Do exactly.
They've actually buffed rat tactics, which is just like, what the fuck is going on now? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a cool tactic that people are using. Let's buff that shit. It's like, fuck me.
No, I think it's way more innocent. Like you said, I think you were actually spot on when you described it. You know, they saw people being catched by partisan
if they let me strap a couple of mines, one to the chest and one to the back of a rip, then I will be happy with this suicide truck. But until that happens, and I can't throw a rip to hug a battle tank, then it's not going to happen, in my opinion.
So I take it Avidus doesn't like it.
I fucking hate it with a passion, dude.
Well, because that's the thing.
And by the way, you're all going to as well. Just give it a couple of weeks.
I don't
already
drive in
know-
vehicles. I'm fine, dude. It's cool.
Oh boy.
Look, we're not trying to defend it any way, shape, or form.
No.
Anyway,
definitely.
and then I agree with you 100% that you're saying that they're encouraging rat play with this vehicle. 100% on that, because I even told Razor this is just a glorified suicide truck, and it's crazy how the fact that we're getting to this point, and depending on what stats they change it, because yes, it boosts so fast, it's gonna be a problem. But also, there's the thing, if they don't change the current stats on it,
Consumption, the fuel consumption.
yeah, if driving it normally is just the same like fuel consumption rate as a normal truck, it's a general quality of life improvement for the Logi, and that's just something that's
I can
also
see
another
these
factor to
coming to
look
the
into.
front 10 at a time in a big convoy, and it's just all it is literally one guy where he'll pilot it
Ew.
straight into the front line. It doesn't even need to be a sticky grenade. Early war, this thing's going to be like absolutely deadly. You know what I mean? When you got a lot of infantry grouped up on the road at like I don't know on a front or something.
Playing
like
bowling, basically.
Oh,
Well,
with
let
just
me
gonna
say
be
this:
insane.
Strike.
whoever is in that situation where there's partisans blocking an area, I'm gonna plow straight through this. Like, are we not gonna pay attention to that mindset of why would they develop something more to fucking try
I
to
mean,
go through
you
a
have the
blockade?
armored truck for that. Like, if you want to go on that, which is shit, by the way. Like,
It's still bad though. That's the thing. The armored truck is still.
I was about to say, yeah, the thing that is the equivalent for us is extremely trash. Nobody wants it. I
But
mean,
that- But that
vetted
makes more
probably.
sense though if you get me on paper. If
Yeah.
you get me on paper, it makes more sense to drive an armored truck through a patrol or a blockade versus a nitro boosted vehicle trying to think, oh, I could speed through them,
Yes,
And it's
just
just
go with an armored truck. Makes more
I
sense.
really hope with all of these variations, because they're releasing a shit ton of variations of trucks. I think trucks are one of the most varied things on Foxhole now, if not the most varied thing on Foxhole, where you've got so ridiculous amounts of variations for them. And I really hope that they don't think that releasing a lot of different Logi vehicles is a fix for Logi, because that's you know what I mean. It's starting to get to that point now where I'm thinking,
like Logi
there's
has 20 vehicles. They should be doing good right now.
exactly, yeah. Where they think the formula for Foxhole is more vehicles equals player happiness. No, that is I'm sorry, but no, that's not how it works.
Just spring on you the last abomination here.
See, like the problems of Foxhole are the dirty diaper, and all these new vehicles are new toys. Doesn't matter. We'll love the new toys for like a day. But
What
we
the
still got
fuck
a
is
dirty
that?
diaper.
It's the duck mobile.
What? Oh no!
It's the Schwimmenwagen.
Oh my god!
Heroes and Generals time, my friend.
They've given them, yeah, but I mean at least on that game it's useful. On this it's going to be absolutely fucking pointless.
Well, before you call it pointless, you need to know that it only runs 5 minutes underwater. After that, you're out of fuel and you're drifting. To prevent people from going from one side of the map to the other with this. So it's basically
to prevent them from doing that.
yes. It's basically
To-
they
To
fought it
prevent
only.
them from doing that.
Yes.
That's the only fucking that's the only point in the vehicle.
90
So
seconds.
we'll give you this vehicle, guys.
Sorry,
right?
90
But what
seconds,
we're gonna
not
do,
5 minutes. My bad.
the only useful thing that you can do in this vehicle is, nothing at all, because we're going to take away the only fucking useful thing it can do.
Well, you can cross
What-
rivers with it.
Yeah, but dude, there's no beach. Like, what are you going to do? Use it to cross to, I don't know, the river near Abandoned Ward, for instance, loaded with cliffs. You know what I mean?
Can't go
All
up.
choke points. You're not gonna, you can't get where can you cross a river in Foxhole other than a bridge, really? When you can cross a river, it's all shallows and shit that shit can drive across anyway. So it's give me fucking strength. Jesus Christ.
You can
Yeah.
use binos on it.
I'm gonna call it right now. People are gonna find a way to refuel it in the middle of the water, which is gonna probably make it viable to drive long distances. But even to drive long distances, why are you using this?
Why are you using this instead of an APC?
Exactly.
Yeah. Just
So-
ridiculous, isn't it?
People have been asking for a while. We had to
maybe-
release it, so here you
I
go.
could maybe see this being slightly useful if there was like an LMG on the back, like the other Jeep.
Oh
Or
yeah,
something like
like
that.
our sort
Then
of
it
our
could be
APC, our APC with
Yeah.
a weapon on it, sort of a thing.
By the way, before I forget, I saw a video the other day. It might have even been on Shiv's video, where one of the
Oh my
where
god.
what happened, what I said was going to happen happened. The gunboat variant with the two guns without the FMG on it. I remember when that first came out, I said that's going to be incredibly fucking vulnerable to like getting attacked at sea or whatever like that. And three motorboats attacked one of those gunboats and killed it with pistols because it had no way of defending itself.
Yeah, that's Chip's video.
Okay,
With
Yeah.
Gotti
pistols,
just
though,
gave us an essay, so Gotti will probably respond to that next month or when.
Well, does anybody want to read that while we continue?
I'll try, but you guys keep going.
Yeah, I mean this vehicle, I can't say. I mean, I suppose it has a niche. Maybe it might be useful on certain types of maps, like island maps, or maybe like something like that. Might be applicable, but
yeah, that's you hit the nail on the spot. That's the only practical use on those coastal areas that have islands and beaches everywhere. That's where that shines. But the harsh reality is exactly what you said earlier: is you go down this through a river, you only have options A and B now. Because if you just passed A, well, guess what? B is in another map, and you're probably going to run out of fuel there. So either do a U-turn, or go in that specific beach spot, and that's the thing that's you know I don't know. It's just the only
yeah.
other thing to use for it is that you can use binos on the back of it, and that's like, you get me. That's the only real use you can use this for, is you can use your binos and scout.
I mean, it might be. I could see maybe a role for it, but see, this is the thing, right? You would only ever really need like one of these things, right? For like a naval invasion, let's say. So a naval invasion, I could see this vehicle having a role as the command vehicle, carrying the command staff onto the shore, having a mobile platform to keep an eye on what's going on across the beach,
That's
sort of
so
thing.
niche, though.
But that's exactly my next point. It's so fucking niche. It's like the most niche thing I've ever fucking said, I think. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
for a vehicle. So like maybe it could be useful in that, but for that super niche utility, is it really worth like putting so much effort into researching this particular vehicle on that particular line of tech? It just isn't. You know
No.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It just isn't
You'll
at all.
never see this thing in game. After people, maybe once, because people
You
are
get it
always
once. You get
curious,
it once when it
and
first
then
gets
never
unlocked,
again.
but never again.
Yeah. Because also
Literally
it
any
does
other
matter
vehicle in the
what
game
line
would
of
be
book.
better than this.
And it's sad because like the idea of it is not bad. Like you said, if you put
Concept was good.
a small weapon on it, so you make it like sort of a patrol vehicle, that would have been, mind blown, incredible. Especially how we don't have an APC with weapon, while the colonials have that option. So we're basically lacking a combat vehicle in the water, because our APC can really be considered a combat vehicle in the water, considering it's unarmed. But
Imagine if it had like I know when we played Black Wake, there's like that swivel little cannon thing.
uh,
What if they had something like that, but it was just
that's,
SMGs attached to the
yeah,
sides of it? You know what I mean? Like it has an SMG on the left and right flanks of it, or it could even just be like the two
mounted
back seats.
pistol. Nice one, chat. Anyway, to go this point real quick, just because he copy pasted all that stuff, mate, I'm not gonna go ahead and gratify anybody to even acknowledge like shit like that. It's just like
Mainly, but
don't even like when you see stuff like that, just like pray for the guy for like 10 seconds and move on with your life. That's all I can say.
he posted it's a meme.
Yeah.
It's a Rick and Morty thing. And it's you just translate it all to Foxhole memes.
It's like, how Avitus likes to talk about, you have people that it almost rains into their, it would rain into I'm not gonna say this. It's too bad. Anyway,
Can we give a
let's just move on.
We can talk about it after the stream.
Exactly,
I'm sure that
yeah.
anybody in the chat can read, so hopefully.
Okay.
Right.
quick second right now to just appreciate we have 33 people watching this.
Yeah. So
The beginning of this podcast was an absolute wreck.
wreck. Yeah. So I'll just throw it right now because I did want to launch a thank you to you guys because we're up to 100 followers if you guys can believe it already. You know, for a thing that we do so little of, you know, we basically do it once every few weeks. The support has meant a shit ton to us, and you know, we're just hoping you guys are enjoying this as much as we do, because this is just our our little rant show.
Enjoyment in quotation marks.
Yeah.
You're going to put enjoyment in quotation marks in anything to do with Foxholes, isn't it? Sort of like the gamer equivalent of self-harm, but there we go.
I think we need to make a quote out of this, to be honest. Foxhole,
Are you with us, guys?
the game equivalent
Still here.
of self-harm.
Pretty much, yeah.
I want a quote.
I'm
of
avoiding self-harm. I'm good. We can keep going.
that.
You're not if you're playing Foxhole.
Oh god. Okay. We're already on the precipice of the longest stream ever here. Granted that we had the technical difficulties there, so yeah, I know we can open it up to chat real quick if they have anything on the. Oh, I almost forgot about the. So these changes are so obscene to me that I almost forgot about them. To be honest, I thought we were done.
I didn't even pay attention at this part. To tell you the truth, you'll have to talk me through it.
I'll try and just because like if you look at the weird diagram and stuff, you would actually think, are they actually doing, you know, angling of shots and shot? No, don't get excited, guys. Calm down. Has nothing to do with what you're seeing on the screen. I'll just explain it in less words than they did. So basically, what happens now is if you're closer to the enemy tank, you have a better chance to penetrate its armor. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
they basically added a bit of common sense, saying if you're close, you have a better chance to penetrate, and yeah, that's about it. And also, like they reduced the damage from the sides of the vehicles, and you now get disabled at 30% HP instead of 50%. They're saying they're doing this because they want longer tank fights. But what I feel is what they're not realizing is they're going to probably have shorter ones, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
explain why.
I was about to say that, yeah.
People, when they see they don't get disabled, they get cockier and cockier, thinking, oh, it's fine, you know, nothing bad. And if you get disabled at 40%, then once you're disabled, you're almost dead, almost every time from now on. Because like 40% with the small reduction on repair, they did a small reduction on repair. So the repair takes longer now on vehicles. With that nerf there, if you get disabled, my guess is 70% chance you're dead, in my opinion. Now, so in the past, what happened was a lot of people got disabled, managed to repair, got helped by allies to escape, went back, repaired the vehicle, continued the fight, right? That gave a prolonged battle with more engagements. Now you're going to commit to a battle, somebody's going to get disabled, they're going to die. Vehicle gone, no more tank. That's how I see it.
It'll be interesting to see how this balances out with the current slate of vehicles we have, because, you know, if indeed the tank destroyer is going to be staying at max range, in theory it's pinning less frequently than alternative vehicles that have to close distance, i.e. Silverhand, question mark?
Well, in my book, this is a clear buff on the Silverhand and a nerf on the tank destroyer, if you ask me, because
That's what I would think at first glance.
that's, well, you know, long range shots, especially to the front of the armor, are gonna just get bounced a shit ton, is how I see it. And then with the Silverhand, you're already forced to get close, right? The Silverhand doesn't profit off of staying at a distance because you have only 45-meter distance on the whole gun, right? So
Yeah.
while in the past I was putting a lot of effort into keeping the mech guys from driving really close, because that's the instinct. When you engage enemy tanks, the instinct is to go really close to them. That's the instinct of drivers. So we're always struggling with teaching them, guys. You just need to be in range. That's it. Don't get closer. Now they remove that problem for me. I can you guys can just go close, go close.
It's just, I mean, Black Dutchy's right though. Yeah, we'll have to see how it works out in practice because for all we know, there's going to be like you never know until you try with this. We don't have the
True.
numbers, so we are making
Assumptions.
logical assumptions.
Yeah.
And how many times have we? That we never saw that coming. Like so.
Well, on the same argument of strain there, I feel like when Clubfoot does stuff, they rarely do it moderately. They either do it on one extreme or the other. They don't really have this in between mentality. So what I'm expecting is, especially as they want this to have an impact, right? Because they clearly are obsessed with this having an impact. I feel like from max range to frontal armor, you're gonna probably never penetrate. That's what I think, to be honest, Kaz. I think like you're gonna be able to get shot like fucking 5 times and maybe you get penetrated once. You know what I mean? That's what I feel is gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, I agree. It's all up for debate still, pretty much. And I don't know. Do you guys feel like there's anything else to discuss here?
This is going to be a wait and see. It'll be interesting. It will be a change, I think, but it's definitely wait and see.
The biggest thing I appreciate here is the slower to repair perk.
Yeah.
Well, it's only 15%. 15% is not that much, but we'll see. It's still better than nothing. I am definitely happy for it. So yeah, I don't know. Dark, Avitus, you guys have anything on this?
What's this gonna mean for field artillery AP firing from a civilian?
I don't think that's gonna really care.
I think this is going to be. I think you're going to have shorter tank engagements. Yes, for the reason that you're saying, but at the same time, I think you're going to have more boring tank engagements as well because
no penetration.
The Colonials are going to be fucked over big time by this. Because their strongest tank at the moment, I would say, is that glass cannon long range little thing, the tank destroyer, and that thing fires from a long range. So if that thing's going to be penning less, that is a huge debuff to the Colonial tank line in general, in my opinion.
It's something we got to see in action before we.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was just speculating right now, but yeah, I think Avitus has a point. It can go either way. I think the thing here is a combination, right? The engagements are going to be boring at long range, and nobody's going to do any progress. But then when one side commits, it's going to be way more brutal than it was.
I think this is going to be really, really good for us because we tend to commit, because this is going to reward commitment.
Yes, absolutely.
It's definitely going to reward commitment and flanking enemy positions and things like that. That is going to this is going to play a heavy role in, say, for instance, there is a group of Colonial light tanks coming down a road or something. Yeah, they're working their way down the road, and they don't see the group of Warden tanks to the north. And if those Warden tanks pull up behind the tanks, put their barrels right up the Colonials tanks' arse and fire, obviously it's going to cause more damage. It's going to and that particular engagement is going to be very clearly rewarded for that tactical play. So in that regard, I can see this working out quite well. However, again, niche situation. For the general tank fights on this game with random people that don't really play casually play the game and shit like that, it's a case of shooting a shot at the longest range you possibly can and then reversing. And if those shots are doing even less damage now, you're going to have less commitment from the people firing them. And then on the other extreme, you're going to have what you said about damage as well. So overall, I think you're gonna have a lot more. You're gonna have shorter and more boring tank engagements now.
Yeah,
this is a side thing too. Is this gonna make even field equipment more useless? Because now you have to if you want to actually damage something.
Apparently, this only applies to 40, 75 millimeter, and 68 millimeter.
Yeah, but 68 is in the
Is it?
emplacements, yes.
Okay.
So I don't know. Hopefully, on the emplacements, it's not gonna be affected as much. I'm hoping that wasn't clear in any way, but who knows? I guess who knows. Um, yeah,
Let's go to the next.
we'll wait to see. Next one is probably the most important thing in a while here. This is why I kept it for the last slide. So you guys need to brace yourselves.
Yeah, this has been a long one too. Like fucking hell.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the most important feature in a good time now. We're getting another chat app. It's called Intel, and it's ready.
I'm fucking done. I'll see you guys.
Yeah, catch you later, guys. Yep. I'm fucking done as well. I'm done.
I knew they were gonna love it. It's just such a treat to see such like we've been asking for, important communication and planning stuff in that has been taken out of the game, and the first thing they add is a new color chat called Intel. It's and it's funny because like the arguing is the reasoning is people wanted a QRF chat, but the funny part is all the QRF is happening in Discord. Nobody's gonna, like, sure, you can,
Yeah.
you'll use this, okay, you'll use this, but you're still gonna use Discord.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Think of this for a second though, real quick. Like we've been talking, and I remember Jeffrey was talking with Mark, and he was like, it goes like, hey, there's all these apps for collaboration exist already, like Foxhole Global HQ
I
and all
remember
these really
this. I
cool
remember it.
tools, and these things look really good, and why couldn't we do this? And like, well, we just want the community to do it. And it's like, well, maybe we can do something as a development team. Here you go, have some red chat. This will replace
my
Global HQ for you.
God. Oh my God. I remember that specifically, and I remember thinking that exact thing at the same time, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. Like this is what I just can't get over. Like, this shit was needed years ago. You know what I mean? Years and years ago. And now now that it's finally coming in, the community's already filled the gap. You know what I mean? Like, we've waited for far too long, so we just made our own shit for it. You know what I mean? And that's a trend that I think anyone going forward with Clapfoot into the future in other games or whatever in development needs to be aware of. That, like, your community is going to have to pick up the fucking slack for what they will simply not do. Commit time to your fucking UI. Commit time to squad and tactical icons on the map and stuff like that. No matter what you say, I'm sorry, it does not take 3 years to implement that. Please put it in your fucking game. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, this is just a poor replacement to the need, because not everybody uses the things we have up here. Not everybody uses global. Not everybody uses Discord for QRF tags, right? So there needs to be some kind of in-game system that's suitable to that end, and this is a poor replacement for that. I mean, because that's it.
Like a new person comes on a Foxhole, you should be able to say, right, dude, open up your map. You see this marker? Yeah, this means this. Tanks. So if you see a tank, you mark this on the map. All that type of shit. You know what I mean? So it's easy
chat,
to understand.
In chat, people are making some. It might be for new players that don't have Discord and such, but the implementation of that could be way better than this. Like, you could have like a little alert box somewhere on the screen, and you can just like get alerts there about stuff that's happening. Another chat, I feel like it's already hard to read chat anyway, and another place where everybody's gonna yell, "Oh no, there's people attacking there! Everybody needs to go there." People are gonna start arguing. No, the people are in this place, now in that place, and it's red and it's going over the other chat, and people are also talking about it in world chat. I don't know. I just think.
Listen, buddy. This is all it was for. Is for Saturday Ops when 82DK finally raids a region. That's the alarm. Is now 82DK is gonna be
Now
in
it's in
red,
red.
so everyone gets to reply.
Um,
Everyone sees it. There's no excuse now. The
you
80
know,
seconds are coming. The 80 seconds are coming.
Guns. I'll explain real quick for you. Is that a lot of the clans and such don't rely on any of the in-game stuff, right? So, and I understand. It's still important to get into contact with the random players or other players, which why we already set up discords where where they can join as well for those things. what I'm trying to say is not taking away the importance of random players responding to QRF and attacks. It's just that everybody values, getting the veteran players that are not gonna sit in Foxhole all day just opening the game with the game open. A lot of people prefer to get a ping on Discord and be like, okay, something's happening. I'm not playing Foxhole right now, but because this happened, I'm gonna jump in real quick, right? That's sort of the reason why we see it like as something that doesn't really change anything.
It's kind of annoying for me that to really get the full like the good experience, I would say, because there is a good experience to be had in Foxhole. You've got to go beyond what normal players who are just getting the game normally do. You know what I mean? You've got to go beyond, and you've got to really delve into the community a little bit, read up, get talk to the right people and stuff like that. And that's when you get the true good quote unquote Foxhole experience.
So,
You know what I mean?
yeah, so here's a proposition for me. It just struck me right now in this moment. I didn't think about it, before this, right? So let's say you have some sort of system where somebody, like, we'll take Gucci here in chat. Gucci says in somewhere in this chat or in a box somewhere says, Iron Junction is getting attacked by colonial force of 20 people, right? He puts that in, and then other people in the region or nearby can confirm that, right? They see it and they can upvote it or downvote it, sort of a thing, right? And it has a threshold. I know, we'll call the threshold 10 people, and if that threshold is passed, right? Somewhere in an alert box, the players get a quick notification, right? Iron Junction is requesting QRF support. That's it. And then the message from Gucci, right? That's how I see it implemented in a way that people can actually use it, right? You eliminate the spam of everybody going nuts about everything, and you have a organized way of doing it with people confirming. You need a number of people to confirm the thing to like make it authentic, let's say, right? And you have somewhere to notify you in a separate way where you only check it because things actually happen, because people actually, because that's what happens in Discord actually, right? You trust people that know what they're talking about to notify you about stuff. Why shouldn't in-game be the same way? I don't know. This is just like how I see it on the go without giving it too much thought, to be honest.
Another settlement needs your help.
Exactly, yeah.
God fucking damn it, Preston.
That being said, I'm gonna come clean and say I didn't add two things to the slide here because I found it more or less like not worthy. The bridge thing, long story short, the new bridges look cool.
Yeah, it's about time that they did something with that. I vaguely remember talking about it briefly on another No Man's Land, where we said, since the bridges are choke points, and that is always going to be the case on Foxhole, why the fuck aren't bridge fights more interesting? And now, finally, we're starting to see that coming in. What I would like to see is more variations on those bridges, though. Don't just make it two types of bridges. Make like on very, very common bridges, there should be very, very different bridge fights. For instance, Abandoned Ward South Bridge, Abandoned Ward North Bridge, Jade Cove. The list goes on and on. These bridge fights that are quite common should be the cover around and how you push across the bridge should be slightly varied in all of them. So at least you're getting a fresh experience every time that you find yourself at one of these grindy bridge fights. And I'm not talking about that for my or 82DK's benefit, because we don't take part in them. We tend to break them or completely avoid bridge grinds. But random people playing the game and coming on to have fun and get into Foxhole, that is the mainstay for what people show up to the first time. They show up to a bridge grind. You know what I mean? And if they're seeing that, yeah, the bridges are a lot more interesting now, but new people getting the game are still going to come across the bridges that are all the same. You know what I mean? And I think that they missed a big chance with the ones in Fahrenheit Course, the big long bridges. Those should have been big fucking suspension bridges that had multiple levels where you could like climb up, onto the scaffolding or below We've all played, a myriad of World War II games or Half-Life or whatever, where there's that one mission where you're going under the bridge and all the scaffolding and shit like that to get to the side of the river or whatever. That should have been in Foxhole, in my opinion, at least in Fahrenheit Coast, where you've got those big long bridges that could facilitate those big suspension bridges.
Yeah, so it's definitely an improvement, but I like the quote from Harrison where when something's zero and you make it 3 times better, goes back to being zero.
Yeah.
It was
That's
pretty
funny.
fun. Yeah, it was really funny. I really like that. But yeah, no, definitely. At least if
Scott,
not from
I don't want to
logic.
cut you off.
Go ahead.
Scott, he pinged you on the No Man's Land Discord chat about a question about the map changes and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's fairly true, and I think that's a very good point from Scott that shouldn't be missed. Is they added a lot of new um, water storage points, like basically ports where you can access. Like I think it's like everywhere from Loken to Faramore. They're all getting.
They're desperately trying to make waterlogy valuable, aren't they?
Well,
they're,
it's a
they're
good
desperately
thing.
trying.
It's
It is a good thing, dude. But I mean, I don't think they're ever going to do it with the current iteration of the general Foxhole map, because there's just not enough rivers that are wide enough to not have AT guns just plastered either side of them. You know what I mean? Like, say we hold the north of Deadlands, they hold the south. We're going to have AT guns all across the north bank. They're going to have AT guns all across the south bank. How the fuck are you supposed to drive a gunboat through that river? You know what I mean? It's just, you just can't do it. It's not viable. The river isn't even 50 meters across. You know what I mean? And even in the widest bits, it's less than 100. So artillery can hit you wherever you go. And boats in general are very, very expensive things. So you don't want to float them down a river that's just going to get where they're just going to get annihilated. You know what I mean? Every time that I've tried to take any type of like a gunboat or anything like that down the main river through the map, it's always in a combat situation always been annihilated by a guy on the bank with an RPG or whatever. You know what I mean? It's very, very easy to destroy boats, and until they make those rivers like really, really wide, what they need to do is they need to grab the north of the map, they need to grab the south of the map, and they need to like really pull those two things apart, so you've got almost an ocean between the two. You know what I mean? But it's obviously a river, but almost like at least out of artillery range. Maybe it's 120 meters across. So if you put a howitzer right on the edge, you can maybe hit the other bank just. You know what I mean? That's where it needs to be to make any type of waterlogy or any type of water vehicle really viable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think you're perfectly right, and probably the rivers should be wider and all of that stuff. But the water storage and the option to just interact with it on water in general, I think it's a good addition. Makes it way more easier for Logi to transport shit from land to water, back to water and land. You know what I'm saying? Like
waterlogy suffers from the same problem as I know trains are going to suffer from. Is the only way to make it like really viable and a really useful commodity is if you like are really dominating the water. So, like for instance, like if we've got them pushed all the way back down in, let's say, the last few maps or something, and we've got a Saturday op coming up, and instead of taking 300 trucks down to the front, we can maybe ship them 3 maps down so the trucks don't have to go that far. Then that's the only time where I ever see waterlogy used en masse. You get the odd person floating a cargo ship down to abandon a ward or whatever, you know what I mean? But that's the only real time you're ever going to see waterlogy. The same thing is going to be with trains. Trains are going to be great, and it's going to be fun for the first couple of wars and all, and everybody's going to be cheering about it. But as soon as they realize that it's only really useful if you capture all of the track, you know what I mean? Then things are just going to go out the window, because you might be able to take a train down from one of the top maps and bring it down slightly down south, but to really get to some of the maps, you're going to have to own all of the track. You're going to have to own those maps already, so you're never going to really see a train in a combat situation.
Yeah, and I know we discussed this in the past. It's like with the unless the containers cannot have to be stackable on the train. Otherwise, it's not going to be viable because you're going to probably be limited on the amount of wagons you can have, and then the freighter is just an overall better vehicle. You know, like another small thing. I should have looked for some maps to show you. I guess we could probably get snapshots from the dev stream. They changed Godscraft, Heartlands, and Umbral a bit. Nothing crazy. Godscraft is still pretty bad. It's not as bad as before, but you know, it's an improvement. I would agree with everybody that said it's an improvement. I think that's a fair, you know, like.
I know they added
Diagnosis.
another entrance to Jade Cove, and they added another entrance to Saltbrook from the south. So those two towns are going to be easier to attack now, or something.
Yeah, I think that's pretty true. I don't know if it's in the dev stream. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the exact moment so we can at least look at Godscraft
I know it's
real
right
quick.
at the end, isn't it?
It's
Yeah, let's see. This is like the new Godscraft with Prometheus in the center there. It's better. It's at least better. It's less ground to cover at least. That's.
So the Ides is gone now completely, is it?
Yeah, basically they took that right
So
side of the map and brought it in
so
the
the
center.
one good part of that map is gone.
Well, if you want to see it like that,
It's like, well, if you didn't, I liked fighting in that city. I thought that city was really good.
Nah, I'm just happy to have less ground to worry about in that map. I'm not,
I had one of my favorite victories in that city against the actual devs. If you remember when that map first got released in its first iteration, where we did that like map, we did that little event where it was the devs and some 82DK officers versus all the rest of us, and we were attacking the Ides for absolutely ages, and we managed to eventually kill it with a HE rush.
I don't know
prove
how,
that the map could be
how well
taken.
you guys see it, but the bulwark changed a lot.
Really?
Yeah, like if you look closely, you can see how it comes down. It used to go like this, and now it's like up here. It got moved a bit up, both here and
Right.
on Umbral. It's Thunderclap is back. See if you can.
The blemish is sieging the blemish is
Thank you
probably
for the
one of
follow,
the
you non-essential scum.
the best fights to be in Foxhole, really, for defenders and attackers.
Yeah, you can see Thunder is back here. That's a bit new, and then you can see the bulwark just going like this next to the water now.
For all you new people, by the way, that have just got the game or recently got the game, have never been to Blemish as a warden. When you get into a fight at Blemish as a warden, you truly know the meaning of siege. It's a great little bit of the map.
And I was saving this for last because it has been talked about for millennia. Now you can kidnap people from the ground and run with them on your back.
Yeah, I mean that's been needed for years, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's I'm sure like this was one thing that it was not that needed, and it's good that they found a solution for it.
Well, I'm glad that they're giving medics more utility now, so medics have an actual job. I'm showing up to fronts just when I'm playing on my own as well. Like there's sometimes there's that one guy that's playing medic, and he's not necessarily healing people, but he's taking the wounded off the front line and he's putting them in an ambulance and all that type of stuff. So giving those people more utility, because that's really cool, and I think creating that medic role is really good, because it's not just about healing and reviving people on the front line now. It's about so much more than that. So the more layers that they add to that, the better, really.
Scott's thing is Razor's a little scared about it, is that you can capture.
No, I'm already calm about it because you can just give in, similar to other games. So you can just like, if an asshole tries and comes for you, you can just like give in and die and just say, haha.
Is it what are you scared of getting taken away by colonials?
Not by colonials. Fucking allies would be all over the place trying to steal a DK officer, and you know it.
Oh, they've stolen Holland.
Give Holland back, assholes. But yeah, Scott has some interesting point on the Discord chat. Apparently, there's a new mountain area north of Saltbrook, and it's very good to allow people to hold the town much easier now from being retaken. And also, like, I do agree with them. There's like, you guys could see it on the map when I showed it. There's like these new locations in, around Blemish, the breach, and Greenfield. Now the bulwark going through those towns are going to be fun to fight, and Thunder as well is going to be fun to fight. My only problem with that, Scott, is generally when the war gets to the point of fighting there, either one or the other side has already given up. So
Yeah,
that's my only my only real
Like
concern about that.
that's like why like towns like the Blemish should be in the center of the map.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you're fighting like that's a center map town in my opinion. The Blemish is so good that I'd love to be fighting over it early war. I'd love for it to be something like Abandoned Ward or something like that, or what an even better version of the Blemish would be is if it didn't even have a town hall in it, and it was just an area of the map between the two lines that was fought over, where perhaps you couldn't build in it or something like that. Within the walls, it's just about infantry play or something like that. That might be a cool idea.
All right. Well,
We've been going long.
We lost Cass to this long ass stream. Do we have any more slides, Razor?
No. I think this was one really long stream. I did enjoy it because there was a lot to talk about and there was a lot of interesting things.
A lot more than I thought. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, things kept popping up, and I'm glad we had so many people engaged.
Yeah, you got to remember it's like maybe 25 minutes at the start of the script.
Oh,
stream that was trying to sort shit out. You know what I mean? So it's not too bad. Hopefully the guys enjoyed it as well. Just as always, guys, if you find yourself on the 82DK Discord, you can join the No Man's Land chat there, and you can leave questions for us and talking points for our next stream. So don't hesitate to put your ideas or questions in there, and we'll get around to them on the next stream. My closing remarks: give us a fucking squad UI, please. Again, just like it's been 3 years. What you're playing at. You've got a game in pre-alpha that has this shit, or even the makings of this shit. So like it shouldn't be taking you this long to give us just a basic squad UI, or at the very least at least put officers back into the squad. Look up what you did a few years ago because you've clearly forgotten, and put that back into the game, please, because we need it. Thank you.
Yeah, I do agree that's really needed. And tags, Guns, to your point, we've been asking, and when I say we, it's mostly TDK as a kind. We've been asking for that feature since the game launched on Steam, and it was always, later, we'll get to it. I still hold hope maybe for the 1.0, maybe, before they do that, they think into including it. They always made it sound like such a huge task. I hope it's not, but yeah, it would be really. A lot of people don't want to change the Steam name every 2 minutes, and we're really hoping to get that achieved before 1.0. It's up to the devs, I guess. We keep pestering them about it on a constant basis.
I'm sick of getting walked up on when I'm on a game I don't know, Postscriptum or a World War II game, where some fucking guy will come up to me and be like, Avatar's from Foxhole, I'm a colonial, and then I'll have to shoot him in the face. You know what I mean? Even if he's on my team on Postscriptum or something. So there's that.
I got a weird proposition for you guys for today, because it had started to be a small custom of ours to just raid somebody at the end of the stream for some laughs and giggles, and I've noticed somebody that was in the past in a very tense relationship with us streaming. I know Dark is gonna not like this, but
oh my god! I typed in the Foxhole.
Listen. So the point is, he being helping us always had the impression that we had something personal against him, right? He thought we hate him for some unknown reason just because he's a streamer or some shit like that, which was never
What's
true.
the word beyond hate?
I don't know, but I don't know. He always fought that thing, and I'm gonna give this point. While I never liked his character personally, there was never hate involved into it. He just constantly refused to cover his map, showing intel to the enemy faction, and that was something that we didn't like. It was just as simple as that, and we always strive to only use in-game tools to counter that, like simply vote kicking them for it. We never try to make it personal.
No, you're right.
So,
Well,
in
okay.
in spirit of that is why I'm suggesting, we I don't know if he understands the gesture, but I still think it's important to do it, right?
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I just went on his channel right now and I saw what used to be almost like a game breaking condition, and he's using a map blocker. And it's like, you know what? Okay, it's
Yeah,
like that's all.
I was really happy to see he
That's all
got to
we
the
asked for.
conclusion that and I know it wasn't for us. I'm not acting like this is because we insisted on it. I just want to think that uh, just like common sense prevailed in the end, and he saw because of how many people were insisting on it that it's just simple and more fair for everybody to do it. So I just feel like giving him this bit of attention, even if he doesn't know what it is about, would just feel proper from everybody.
Well,
Yes.
let's give him a fashion war, even though I'm banned from the chat, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I might be as well, actually.
It's fine. It's the gesture that counts, right? So, join us, boys. You guys want to say your goodbyes before I initiate this? Dark? This?
I'm good. I'm good. Stick around. Enjoy it. Enjoy the stream.
Right, yeah. And remember, get out of those foxholes and attack the enemy, guys.
Cook
Always.
them grenades.
Rush.
Cook 'em good.
We showed you how to rush.
comrade. Join the 24th wave. Go. Do not stop.
Right, catch you later, guys. Have a good one.
And don't forget to join us on the raid, boys. Join us on the raid. Let's make it nice and clean.
Be polite. Don't be asshole.